它的飞行。应该吃的好。不是，这是打来的时候。A 场，操，他们这事儿。不是，我要拍这个设备，他们要抄着直播的。我都个屁，现在都没抬来了。
Hello, everyone. Everyone, please. Because our meetup will start in 5 minutes.
Test. Good evening, everybody. If you just make a way down forward to the front, we would like to start in 5 to 10 minutes time. Yeah, please make your way down to the front. We're about to start in 5 minutes time.
我觉得可以，不是，我现在放小， Hi guys, welcome to BlockOrigin and Meetup. So I see that most of you guys have already eaten, so feel free to take a seat here and so that the event can begin very shortly. Okay. Hello everyone, our event will be start soon, so feel free to so anyway, let's start. I'm Iris from BlockOrigin and welcome to our third BlockOrigin meetup. And I think maybe you have known about the recent case of 30 million US dollars stolen from top Korean exchange has already threatened the future of crypto trading. So today the topic of our meetup is much relative to the security concern of crypto exchange. First of all, Ken, our managing director of BlockOrigin and Huobi Group will give us the opening remarks and introduction to BlockOrigin. Now let's welcome Ken. Ken.
Great. So what? Yes. Okay, it's much better. Right. Very good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for coming down. Those who are still walking around, can you make a way of front so that you can get the ball rolling and get it all done? Okay. Thanks so much. Anyway, my name is Ken. I'm the managing director for BlockOrigin. So we are a news media company for blockchain and cryptocurrency industry, established not long ago. Within this year, I dare say that we are among the fastest growing media company for the blockchain sector. So we are launched, we're based in Singapore, covering the whole of Southeast Asia. This month itself, we're going to be launched in South Korea, So we have a team in South Korea, we are building a community in South Korea. So what is our purpose? So many meetups happening recently is mostly promoting projects, trying to sell you their tokens or whatever. But we really want to get to know the industry very well, talk to industry experts, connect with people who really cares, who doesn't want to come to the event just to, hear pictures, but to understand what's going on around the world. So we at BlockOrigin are going to hold this kind of meetups very regularly, once every week actually. So we hope to get to know more people who are enthusiastic in the crypto arena. So stay tuned, and I'm very thankful to all our speakers, from dampens, from Digifinex, from Huobi especially, from Stella, NAM, for agreeing to participate in our first meetup in Big Temple. Thank you, Big Temple, as well, for providing such a great space. Bigger things happening between us and Big Temple soon. We'll inform you in due course. So actually, I'm not going to talk so much today because if I talk about BlockOrigin, I talk for an hour. Just like the last 2 weeks ago, I had it in Seoul, for about 1.5 hours talking about BlockOrigin. But I'll keep it very, very short today. So another thing that I want to talk about today is about Huobi Global Elite Program. So as you guys might know that BlockOrigin and myself, we are Huobi Global Elite. So we are a fan of Huobi and we are enthusiastic about it. We put a lot of trust in Huobi and we want to grow the community globally as well, Huobi. So if you guys already have the leaflet over here, so this is a special program that we are going to launch today. Download Huobi or simply register as a member, as a user in Huobi, and input the invitation code. Down here, you can see the big poster, you can see over here, invitation code. So when you do it, we will have a surprise airdrop happening. So those watching at home globally as well, we have our live stream happening. So at home or down here, sign up to Huobi by the mobile app or by the website, input the invitation code, and you will get free airdrops just for today only. Yeah, so don't forget, you can do it now or you can do it after. So especially for our attendee as well, something very, very special. If you trade via the OTC for today only, you will get up to 500 free HP tokens shared today. So if you have fiat, you're gonna get converted into crypto, get the OTC from Huobi. That's, you can meet Erica at the back. Where's Erica? Wait, hi Erica. Meet Erica at the back. Do it today, only today. Once you trade, you will get up to 500 HP. Yeah. So today's topic, we're discussing about the security threat of exchange. So we know that more and more recent cases, whether it's published or not published, whether it's small or big, there's a lot of exchanges popping up. Every single week there's a new exchange popping up. So as a consumer, as a trader, what you should look out for. Anything to do with exchange, anything to do with your money, your assets. You need to know what's your legal rights. That's why we have the world's top legal firm over here speaking to you. So it's very, very important. So I hope you guys enjoy the night. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ken. Now let me introduce our first speaker. Actually, it's Miss Wu Xing, and the Senior Director of Huobi Group. And as we all know, Huobi is a market leader in crypto exchange industry now. And Ms. Wu Xing will share about the general overlook about the security concern of Huobi Group. Let's welcome.
Hello everyone. Yeah, from May, we hold a very big event in Vietnam. There is thousands of people attend. And after this event, I focused on the inner work. We focused on our operation. And every time people ask me, oh, Wuxing, come out and give us a speech. But I said, no, because I need to focus on the work. And this told me, come on, Wuxing, I need to call you to a WeChat group and share some ideas. I said, no. Yeah, because I need to focus my really important work, because I need to give some solution and have our global expanding. Today, my colleague told me, oh, Wuxing, you need to go outside because it is our global elite. It's Ken's invitation, and invite you here to share about the security of exchange. I said, okay, it is important thing also. Of course, security is also important for our global elites, for our exchange, and also for our user. Then I come and give this idea here. So how to control it? Okay. Yeah. So first thing is self-introduction. My name is Wu Xing, and I worked in this industry for 4 years. I joined Huobi since 2014, and at that time, Bitcoin has not so crazy, and the price is very low, and we have so many public shares such as, and at the time no NEO, no other public shares, and just people talk about the price and talk about the future of Bitcoin. But now we have many options. And just now, at the beginning of the event, I talked to our friend from Nan, and he just joined this industry for 1 month back, and yeah, very good. And because I'm used to in charge of the marketing and the PR of Huobi, so I held many events to educate our users. And I write an online lecture, it is in Mandarin, named From 0 to 1 to Learn Blockchain. And it has more than 20,000 people buy this lecture in China. And also you can search, if you want to enter this industry, you can search a video, its name is Blockchain 101. Now we have a Chinese version, English version, a Japanese version, and we have a Spanish version. So I hear about our users talk about it many times. If you want to learn about this, you can watch this video. It is 90 videos, and each video is less than 1 minute. It's very easy understanding. So I hope this can help us to better understand our industry. Then, yes, let's go to the most important part. Okay, skip it. Yeah, skip it. Yeah, skip it. Let's talk about the most important thing, because it is security. Last week we heard about many bad news from Korea, from other countries, many platforms and wallets hacked, right? And many users lost their money. But I don't want to be too proud, because if you are proud, the hacker will notice you, right? And we don't want this kind of thing. Just this PowerPoint is made by me 1 month ago, and I negotiated with my chief officer of security, and he told me a lot of things about our recent changes about the solution. And I asked him if I can release it public. He said no, because if you public to the public it, the hacker will know. Then yeah, I will use this PowerPoint, and I think it's enough for us to know how to protect our own assets, especially digital assets. So there's 10 things Huobi Group did. One thing is for an ordinary internet company, we should have our ordinary standard security. Of course, for a blockchain aesthetic change, we are not only exchange, we also have our many launches every day. We launch our functions more than, according to our CTO, it is more than 100 times one day. So every function we launch on the internet, we need to have a security test, and regularly go through with testing by the third party. And this is very necessary and basic, I think. And this is very important because today I work with my colleague and to write the script of our new program named Huobi Academy to teach people how to use the blockchain asset suitably. And this is one thing, because we on the platform we did a lot of verification. We have 3 verification, SMS and email, and one important thing is GA. And we found in our case, 90% of the case who knows their asset hacked by the other people because they have no link their GA. So if you tonight, if you register on Huobi Group, I strongly recommend after you link to your code and you should link to your GA. It's very safe for your account and your asset. Yes. And this is very common. We established the standard about 3 years ago. We have, as we know, most of the platforms has a cold wallet and hot wallet. But did you know really they put the majority wallet in their cold wallet? I don't think so. Yeah, but you can check it. And on Huobi Group, there are 98% of the digital assets were put in the cold wallet. And cold wallet is multiple signed. And only 2% assets will be the hot wallet. That means if the I don't want this thing happen, but in this case, if the hacker hacked by the platform, and only 2% of the assets will go through to other things, and we can afford it. Yes, in this case, I want to emphasize we cannot promise we are security forever in the future, but we can try our best to protect ourselves and our users' assets. Even though we have 5 years experience, 0 record of the security issue and become one of the most safe exchange in the world. But we cannot say anything too proudly to say we are the most safe and we will not have this kind of issue forever. Yeah. What we did is to tell people how to protect your assets. And this is the internet control management for both the environment and the training and the staff expectation. If you join Huobi, you will have a security examination. After you pass the examination, you can get some assets such as token assets, so can work in this office. And it is, I think it's necessary full-time security. We have one important person is from DD company. He is his chief security officer, and we invite him to become our chief security officer. And this is for another kind of meaning of security, because if you invest in new projects, there are more than, I think, 2,000 assets. How to protect your assets, how to prevent them from your price you invest to zero. It is you have your good solution to select good projects. Then we establish our smart chain to select good projects. And I think this 5 angle is also can be reference for us ordinary users can select good, comparatively reliable projects. And this is what I said before I started the presentation, because you need to be very familiar with blockchain and you know how they work. Then you can distinguish which projects are liars, which projects is really good. Then we have a stats introduction on our platform and the bottom one videos. You can search bottom one or search Huobi Group Twitter, and we will release our bottom one video, one video by one day. And Huobi Talk every Thursday, we will invite some experts to talk about hot topics such as EOS producer and RAM, such as RAM in US now is very, very hot, and we tell them what's the function and why it's so hot. And also we have books, and if you can read Mandarin, and you can add my WeChat and I see you. But it is in Mandarin. We are trying our best to translate, because this industry is so fast. I think when we translate, finish it, and then the word will change. And the one important thing is, in case some bad thing happens, we have our user protection fund. 20% of the gross income will buy back the Huobi token, and Huobi token will restored in our fund. That means if you have something such as Max last year, they suddenly increased their amount of the tokens, then the price sharply goes down. Then we pay our user first. This is truly happened, and we will use this kind of fund to protect our user in case some bad projects or some other cases. And another thing is security reserve. We have 20,000 BTC owned by ourselves to restore separately, and in case some security case such as hacked by the hacker, I don't want to happen, but just in case, and have this kind of way to protect our users. And the next thing is, because we are not only an exchange, we have a home lab. Now, recently we launched our Huobi chain. We're looking for the global technical leadership to evaluate, saying from the upstream of the industry, we have Huobi Group. Now we have become the first US block producer. And the primary market, we have our Huobi Eco, this temple. Temple is also covered with temple and low capital and Huobi Eco. And Huobi Capital, we invest in good projects and good companies, not projects, and to help with this industry. And on the secondary market, 2 weeks ago, we launched our Huobi Australia. It is a fiat money to cryptocurrencies, and Huobi Japan and Huobi OTC. And we launched our digital partner HBAS. It is use USD dollar to buy or sell cryptocurrencies. It's also a fiat money exchange. Yeah, and also we have our Huobi wallet, and in the near future, we already launched our Mandarin version named Huobi IM. That means you can use it to chat with your friend and send them the cryptocurrencies directly. Just so you like use the WeChat, use the hot pocket. Yeah, there are 10 things we do to protect our user, and more details I cannot show you. Because yeah, because if I share to the public, the hacker will know more about details. It's not wise. But I can share some things like this, so they will know how to select good projects, how to protect our asset, how to protect our account to in case that kind of things, and how to select a reliable exchange. And last thing, my staff tell me I must say is to support our global elites camp, and we have another event, online event. If you register by camp's invitation code, and you buy or sell on Huobi OTC more than $200, you can have a share to our airdrop. If you buy or sell more than 1,000 USD, thank you for this. You can have 2 shares. If you have interest, you can ask our staff here. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much for sharing. Now let me introduce our second speaker, Gaven Zhou. Actually, Gaven is one of the partners of BlockOrigin Capital, and BlockOrigin Capital is one of the leading crypto funds that have invested in more than, I think, 30 good high-quality blockchain projects. And Gaven will share more details about how to be rational and how to protect yourself when doing crypto trading. Now let's welcome Gaven Zhou.
Sorry, my English is not so good, so I will do this in Chinese. Sorry for that. 我首先介绍一下我们吧。我们是一家投资公司，我们是2018年成立的一个区块链投资机构，规模大约在3亿美金左右。我们主要投资的就是我们1级、2级市场全都有投资，然后我们主要投资的，比如说很简单，我们投资的项目有 BlockOrigin， 然后一些交易所，一些就是一些电子加密币，这个都是在我们投资里面 ，DX、Drift、GTC、HPB、OCN、Seal、Tron， 还有后面的，然后平台币我们也投的比较多，平台币我们投了就是 HT、BNB、OKB、NFT。HT 的话，我们的因为火币也是我们的一个比较重要的，或者说我们比较看重的一个平台，我们大约有6 million 的 HT 在手上，这个算是我们的一个重仓。然后我们还投资了一些交易所吧，一些交易所孵化器，这个其实大家可以在我们以后的那个官网上看一下。其实作为投资方的话，其实对于平台交易性、平台的一些安全性的话，我们其实考虑的应该还是怎么说呢？我们考虑的肯定没有，就是说作为交易所本身所考虑的要多，所以我们更多的还是考虑一些市场上的一些风险。首先股市里面有一句话嘛，就是股市有风险，入市需谨慎嘛。我们这个地方可能就币市有风险，入市需谨慎。 然后这个地方就是我接下来要讲的，就是关于我们在对于个人的一个资金上面的一个风险的一个评估的一个我们的见解吧。首先第一个就是说电子加密币，它是一个非常有意思的一个东西，它是一个非常有意思的东西。然后我们是在我们所选的交易所平台上面来做一些交易操作。所以交易所平台的话，它作为一个资产受托人，他们会依靠自己的技术，就刚刚其实火币的那个已经就是他们其实已经分享的比较多了，所以这个地方我们其实也没有什么好去分享的。就是说我们作为投资人来说的话，我们就说一些。就是说，如何在进行这些货币交易的时候，来保证我们的这个资金安全。其实这个安全的话，更多的是一个，不是那种黑客的那种安全，更多的是来自于自己的，来自于币市之间的斗争吧。币市区别于其他的几个地方，在于它是一个24小时全年无休的一个交易市场。所以在这个里面的话，它会比股市啊，比很多东西都要更累，而且它没有什么涨停跌停的这种说法，所以它是风险也是比较大的。然后它也没有什么涨幅的限制啊，跌幅的限制。然后它的价格因素非常非常多，就价格影响的因素非常非常多。比如说创始人某一句话没有说对，或者说在某种公众场合发表了一些不正当的言论，就可能造成它的币价非常大的跌落，或者说非常剧烈的攀升。这个其实它受的价格就是币本身的价格，对于币本身的价格受很多因素的一些影响。然后我们的建议就是说稳准，然后长线，不要频繁操作。这个里面稳准长线的话，其实还比较好理解。就是频繁操作，为什么会说频繁操作这个地方呢？就是说我们看到有一些，比如说很简单，我们再去了解一些币的时候，我们再去了解一些币、了解一些项目的这个时候，我们可能会看到其他有一些币，比如说一天涨了几倍呀、几十倍呀，或者说是上百倍，这都是有可能发生的事情。就是我们在看这些情况的时候，千万不要盲目的去操作，对于自己原有的计划进行频繁的一些打乱，进行一些操作。投资需要理性，这个地方也是我接上刚刚说的那一部分，就是说，币价的上涨跟下跌都是在很多货币，或这么说吧，很多货币在很短的时间内会出现一些就是大幅度的上涨或者大幅度的降低的这个过程。在这个过程当中，我们的建议是要做好自己的心理评估。范围，在一个多大多少的一个范围内，你是做好自己的一个退出或者是进入的一个时机的一个把控。这个地方其实最大的敌人是在于自己，就是说，因为受到外界条件的一些影响的话，可能你会在某一个时间段冲动的做出一些不理智的一些行为，这些行为最后导致的结果往往都是不大理性的。这个地方我们还是说一下，就是说关于投资本身的，可能这个 PPT 做的比较早了，我还是说一下，还是按照自己来说吧。就是说我们对于自己的投资的话，我们可能分成3个层次，我们把它分为631，就是60%的资金投入在一些比较稳定的币的范围内，稳定的一些币，比如说 BTC。比如说 ETH、以太坊，就是一些主流货币上，然后30%的资产，就是自己30%的资产配置的，就是说风险系数要稍微要高一些的这种代币上，具体的我就不去举例子了。然后剩下的10%，是用来 用来博，就是在短线内、在短时间内进行快速的买入，或者说在高速上涨或者下跌的时候快速进入、快速退出，剩下的10%的资金是用来做这个的。但是大部分资金是不建议去做频繁的操作的。然后这个地方说的其实就是一些当前一些币圈内不好的一些现象吧，就是说，作为投资人的话，我们还是要理性的去看项目，去看这个币，或者说看这个项目之间的跟其他各种关系，而不要被一些所谓的一些资讯所影响，一些网红，一些我不知道会不会得罪人，也无所谓了。不要被一些什么送豪车、送别墅、送黄金、送钻石这种所谓的宣传营销模式所吸引，因为你在贪图他奖品的时候，他在贪图你的本金。所以我们是不建议大家去了解，或者说被这些所谓的这些因素去影响。更多的是希望大家能够回归原点，去了解项目方，去了解项目方的深层次的关系。和各大交易所的关系，关注他们最新的平台，关注他们的 Twitter、Facebook， 跟上他们最新的真实的消息，而不要被外界的所谓的网红或者是所谓的币圈大咖们所影响。大部分都是这样。然后关于交易所本身的话，其实我们的专业性肯定是不如专门做交易所的这些人的，所以，但是我们目前情况下，我们的大部分资产是配置在火币上，实话，我们的大部分资产是配置在火币上，而且火币也是我们目前，算是我们投资的最重的一个代币。我之前说过了，我们有大约600万的 HD 在手上，这个也是因为我们早期的时候我们在18年年初的时候就开始使用火币，而且一直跟着火币持续看好，直到它发出了 HT， 然后我们在前期的时候，我们可能没有赶上最刚开始的那一阶段，但是我们是在二级市场大批量的购入，现在也有超过了很多倍的回报，已经超过很多倍的回报。然后更多的还是说理性。其实我的通篇的所有的分享吧，其实所有东西都归结于一点，就是理性。就是加密币这个东西，它可以让你在短期内财富自由，也可能会让一个人在短期内破产。对，所以我们是要求就是说，或者说我们给大家更多的是一个理性的分析，就是大家在投入资金进加密币市场的时候，要控制自己的仓位，也就是说要控制自己的投入资金的程度。因为我们见过太多的不好的例子，也见过太多好的例子，就是说我们希望大家能够更理性的来对待这件事情，更理性的来对待这件事情。然后也希望大家能够早日财富自由吧。然后基本上就是这样。然后稍后我们会再来分享一些，就是分享完之后我们再会来分享一些其他东西。好，谢谢。
Thank you so much, Gaven, so detailed sharing. And now let's move to our third speaker. I think maybe someone has been familiar with Michael. He is an engineer from Lightyear, which is the arm of the decentralized network system Stellar. And Stellar is also one of the top 3 distributed crypto exchange in the world now. And Michael will share more details about the security platform of Stellar. And now let's welcome Michael.
Hello guys, hi. Thanks Thanks for inviting me. BlockOrigin to invite me, and I've been a long-time friend with Gaven, and happy to see, investing in this BlockOrigin. So, a quick introduction of myself. I graduated locally. I'm working for Stella right now, for Stella Singapore, and I'm in charge of engineering partnership and the technical integrations locally and also in Southeast Asia regions. So today my topic is security threat of crypto exchanges. First of all, why is there a security threat? When Satoshi Nakamoto designed blockchain, designed Bitcoin, it's supposed to be a cryptographically, secure currency, which is like super secure and you cannot steal my Bitcoins unless you have my secret keys. But we see so many. But we see so many hacking, so many $1 million getting hacked. So why is that? Think about what is the #1 use case of that. So basically, if you just store your blockchain, whole wallet is secure. It's pretty secure. It's only when you use it you have to exchange with the external environment or something. That's where this insecurity comes from. So the #1 use case of blockchain today is actually trading by itself, right? We have to admit that. There's no other better use case of blockchain services, right? Cryptocurrency trading is #1. So that's why the exchange becomes an important place. So how does hackers actually hack the exchange? Like what we just explained, how they do the security system, but we have seen cryptocurrency lost every month. So how did it happen? I'm going to give a very brief engineering perspective about what happened in the past few years and how these hackers actually hack the cryptocurrencies. First of all, this is a history. Since the very early age of Bitcoin, there's a few very big Bitcoin hacks. The most notable ones are the 2014 Mt. Gox and 2016 Digifinex. Mt. Gox, they bankrupt right after the hack, but ironically, the Bitcoin that they still have left, they sold it and they are able to pay back all the debts they have. They still have some leftovers because the Bitcoin price is increased too much. And Digifinex, at that one point they are hacked a third of all their Bitcoins, and they didn't bankrupt. They able to pay it back. Next. And this year we've seen so many altcoins they got hacked, and the most important one is 2016, the hero attack, which I will explain later. I will explain how it happened and how to avoid it. Next. First, let's talk about Mt. Gox. So Mt. Gox, basically they lose almost 1 million Bitcoins in 2014, which is worth a lot. There are different stories about how this hack happens. There's different versions of stories, and some story I trust, some story I don't. This is from their ex-employees and some interviewees who actually talked with the management team. They said the Mt. Gox team, they don't use version controls, which is pretty astonishing to me as an engineer. And their lack of testing framework, their code review is by one person, which is a CEO. And they don't have a clue. Because Mt. Gox is actually an acquired company, and the technical team don't have a clue about the engineering frameworks that they're running. And it's very dangerous because half of the Bitcoin exchange volume is on Mt. Gox in 2014, and it's just become this ticking bomb. And it's just a matter of time when it happens. You lose 100 million, not 100 million. 850,000 Bitcoins. So this is another story. So this is what Mt. Gox claims is the reason why they got hacked. For Bitcoin, in the older version of Bitcoin, there's this vulnerability issue called transactional mutability. So what does it mean is, in the older version of Bitcoin protocol, the signature for one transaction, it builds an envelope of transactions, including the recipient, the sender, and also the signatures, right? The signature on it is not alterable. If you alter the signature, the transaction becomes invalid. However, the transaction which is used to identify this, the transaction ID which is used to identify this transaction, is actually calculated based on the entire envelope. But there's no standardized format of how this hashing works. So imagine you just change the format a little bit, put timestamp, somewhere, or add a space to the end of the timestamp. This actually changes the hashing value of the transaction envelope. So essentially, the hackers make a similar envelope with the same signatures, but a different, same signature but different transaction IDs. So if they do that, they can fake the transaction. If both transactions got sent to Bitcoin network, one of them will get approved and one of them will not. If the authentic one get approved, that's okay. That's just a normal transaction. If the fake one get approved, the authentic one will not get accepted. So non-gods at the exchange server, they will think that this transaction didn't go through, so they will do the refund process. So that's how they lose money. Yeah, this is what non-gods claims. They lose almost 1 million Bitcoins. Although I don't trust it, but this is actually a known vulnerability in Bitcoin, which is fixed 2 years ago. So DAO attack. What is DAO? DAO is a decentralized, anonymous organization. So DAO is actually an initiative. It's a very ambitious initiative by Ethereum Foundation, and they want to build this, decentralized organization. Which they have a very good vision at first. So they did an ICO. They did an ICO in 2014. It's one of the most successful ICO in the history of crowdfunding. They actually raised 150 million within 28 days. And they raised ethers, of course. At one point, they have 14% of all the ethers in the world, this smart contract of DAO. And a couple of weeks later, a third of them are lost. So basically, out of the 150 ethers they raised, more than 15 million are lost. The hackers, they just found out of vulnerability problem in smart contract. Ethereum Classic comes after that because the Vitalik and his team decided to do a hard fork of Ethereum. So what you know at Ethereum today is the result of this hard fork. The traditional Ethereum still exists. It's called Ethereum Classic. That one contains the hackers' money, but the new Ethereum doesn't contain the hackers' money. Yes. So the vulnerability bug is a bug in the smart contract of Ethereum. In a smart contract, there's a function that a hacker can call recursively by sending a bunch of tokens in exchange for ethers. But in order to do that, it takes some time for programs to register this into the Ethereum network. So by the time the hacker basically do this recursively. So by the time the ether got registered on the network, this program probably run 1 million times already. So that's why they have the DAO contract. Bitfinex. This is not well. Bitfinex got hacked in 2016. There's no special stories about how they get hacked. Basically, they just lose their private keys. But I think what's interesting is I found out this very old blog post in 2016 after they hacked. They have this blog post saying the customers will see that they experience a generalized loss. Basically, what it means is after they get hacked, 36% of their Bitcoins in the platform, they take away 36% of Bitcoin from every wallet of the user. So tomorrow, so after the hack, tomorrow you log in your Bitfinex wallet, you see that 36% of Bitcoin is gone. But of course, no one agrees with that, right? So in exchange to do that, they issue a new token. Basically, they do an ICO. The value of the ICO token, which is BFX token, the value of this token equals to the value of the Bitcoin that they lost. They use this to pay back as a compensation for those who are taking a third of their Bitcoin from their wallet. And then if you go to next. they spend almost a year time to pay back all this ICO token that they issued. So basically they got everything back. So a lot of people actually praise them, but it's a pretty controversial decision to make for exchange. Next. So what happens, Bitfinex, so what actually happens is Bitfinex, they claim that they use multi-signature wallet for security measurements, right? So there's no rocket science here. So multi-signature wallet is more secure than hot wallet because multiple people have to sign a wallet for every transaction. So they have another company, like maybe sister company called BitGo, who hold one of the keys and they hold two keys. However, after the hack, BitGo claims that they never lose the key. So how does hacker hack the money from the multi-signature wallets? The most, well, the best rumor is that they actually have a backdoor for the multi-signature wallet. By talking about backdoor, I think what it means is that they actually store the 3 keys on their server. So they lose these 3 keys at the same time. So if you have a multi-wallet, so this whole architecture becomes like a super secure wallet with a backdoor, and hackers just take charge of it. Like they just make use of the backdoor. This just doesn't make sense to me. But luckily, Bitfinex is one of the few exchanges that got hacked so much. They lost more than 120,000 Bitcoin, but they still exist. Next. What next? I've just discussed about the 3 biggest hacks in the history of Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, and what I would recommend you using is use a cold wallet. 98% of Huobi's are stored in cold wallet. That's very good. And crypto custody service is really when you have a lot of Bitcoins. Probably we want to try that. Trusted ICO issuer and exchange, like Huobi or decentralized exchange. Stellar actually have a StellarX, StellarX.com, have decentralized exchange, which is pretty secure. But this morning I heard about the banker network getting hacked, which is one of the best decentralized exchanges. So it's not, well, nothing is like totally secure after all. So yeah, that's all to share. I just wish everyone to use your.
Maybe now you have some questions. Do not worry, and we will move to our panel discussion part soon. And actually, there will be 1 hour for our panel discussion part, and the half an hour will be for the moderate. My colleague Yanhua will help me to moderate the whole panel discussion part, and then the rest of the time will for your guys. And now let me briefly introduce our 4 extra speakers. Apart from our 3 main speakers, and we are very excited to invite 4 more speakers in our panel discussion part. Ms. Kathy, the partner of Digifinex. Let's welcome. And the 2 senior partners of dampens, Ms. Xu Lichuan. Let's welcome. Mr. Xu Lichuan and Ms. Shopna Chandra. Let's welcome. And Mr. Lance from NET. Welcome. Now let's move to my colleague Yanhua. And also 3 speakers.
This power button. Or just plug on this plug on.
So welcome everyone to our panel discussion. So as you can see, I think we have a very diverse panel that's very well prepared to discuss the rise of security threats in crypto exchanges today. Because we have quite a number of exchanges, like you just heard like Stellar and Huobi, and now we have like Digifinex joining us as well. So we have both the centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges.
But we don't just have exchanges, we also have an investor like from Gaven from BlockOrigin, and of course we have our loyal friends from dampens. So I would just like to start by getting everyone to do a self-introduction first. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Lance. I'm actually the project director for NEM Southeast Asia. I'm here to actually share a bit more about what we do, and also, I suppose you can't really have proper exchange security without talking about NEM concept. So that's why I needed to hear. Yeah, so happy.
Hi everyone, my name is Shobna. I'm a partner at Dampens. I focus on disputes work and regulatory contentious work. So in terms of possible causes of action that you may have against an exchange or as a user, what you can think about, how exchanges can protect themselves, how regulators can intervene, those are areas that I can help answer.
My name is Richon, so I'm actually with Dampens as well. I'm actually more on the corporate transactional side of things, so I advise clients who want to do ICOs. We look at certain exchanges, and we also advise on the other aspects like tax and intellectual property. So that's together with a whole team of other Dampens lawyers as well.
Hi, I'm Kathy. I'm the Vice President and partner of a digital asset trading platform called Digifinex. We are not as big as Huobi, but we are like top 20 in the world as well. So nice to meet you guys.
Hi everyone, my name is Wu Xin, and Xin in Chinese means happy and lucky. And now I'm based in Singapore, and welcome to our office and have a cup of coffee.
大家好。我叫 Gaven。我是投资的。
Yeah, he's like the investor. So BlockOrigin is like the investment company as investment purpose now. Yeah.
Michael, Stellar Engineering Partnership in Southeast Asia.
Okay, thanks guys for the introductions. So now I would just like to begin the panel discussion by posing a question to our lawyer friends. And so what do you guys think about the Singapore's regulations for crypto exchanges and tokens? And like, do you think it's adequate, or how does it compare to other jurisdictions?
So at this point in time, Singapore doesn't really have a specific cryptocurrency exchange regulations, so it's not regulated yet. We do have a payment services bill that's coming up soon where they will regulate intermediaries, which will presumably, include token exchanges as well, because that includes intermediaries doing fiat to crypto and crypto exchange as well. But the exact regulations and that what's needed, hasn't really been introduced to us yet. Other jurisdictions, as far as I'm aware, we have Japan, which has regulated that as well. So, but I understand the process of registering an exchange in Japan could take some time. My Japanese counsel friends tell me that it's only been 8-10 months, so that has been quite a impediment for people who want to get things up really quickly. Things are moving at about speed for those in the world. And as far as I know, I think in the US as well, they have people with license, but not as a securities exchanges.
Yes, in fact, I completely agree with each one. He's right, at the moment we are quite open, obviously trying to attract more investments into the country and slowly monitoring. But having said that, in March this year, the MAS came up and made some useful comments actually at one of these conferences for blockchain stuff, and I'm going to just quote some of these points that they made so that in case any of you are considering these things, you can keep this in mind. So MAS says quite clearly that they are, at this point, they don't see any of these kind of posing a systemic risk to our financial stability, but this situation can change quite quickly, so they are really watching this space. So in terms of the key risks that we talk about, right, someone mentioned earlier money laundering and terrorism financing, etc. So those, in a sense, are really caught because you're intermediary dealing with this and you come across a suspicious transaction. You have an obligation to report to the MAS and to the CAD actually to make a suspicious transaction report. So those are covered even by the existing regulations. As Lee Chuan mentioned, there are plans to put in place a slightly more comprehensive legislation, the Payment Services Bill, and that is intended to cover more specifically how intermediaries are going to be governed regarding some of these requirements. Separately, on investor protection, I think MES has come out quite clearly and said that investors really have to beware. They have to, as I think one of our panelists shared earlier, they have to be very careful about what they're dealing with and they have to exercise caution. Because in terms of regulatory protection, MES is not going to step in as a regulator to protect on a broad scale. But having said that, depending on the scale of any incident that happens, so we talked about other jurisdictions and their approaches. In fact, Japan, they started regulating only because some major incident happened. I think there was a hacking incident some time ago, and after that, promulgated. Yes, trying to be sensitive. And that kind of promulgated regulation. So while we at this point see that there are no regulations, I think it's important for us to keep in mind, that when a major incident happens at any point, the regulators will take a look and then see what's the best next step in terms of protecting investors on a broader scale. Yes.
Can you announce the question? Just correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm also because we are part of the team, so we've got people actually wanting to do ICOs on blockchain, and we want to domicile in Singapore. Let's say if you do have an exchange in Singapore, are there any problems, let's say, with the corporate sector where ICO companies or domicile companies have problems actually registering the bank accounts or to register for the company itself? So I suppose these are questions that a lot of people ask us. So I suppose this is the best way that we ask you guys as well to get the people answer. Well, I think that first, not exactly a legal question, to be honest, because I think the ability in banking to open bank accounts and banking connectivity really is make sure whether the banks want to open a bank account for you or not. That is subject, of course, to many considerations, but I understand primarily that in Singapore KYC and AML. So, of course, they are the hook when it comes to MES, looking at terrorism financing and money laundering. So, they will want to make sure that they are clear, and they might therefore be taking a bit more of a online approach. I think from my discussions with the banks, it seems they are also figuring this out. And they are obviously having discussions on this. But suffice to say, I think if you are, from our experience, if you are not exactly doing an ICO, you probably won't, but you just like a support function to people doing blockchain, or just doing blockchain as part of technology. It shouldn't really be concerned. It's people doing ICOs where you're not too sure about the source of funds to the investors have, and that's probably the concern. Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys. Oh, and just now we haven't had the chance to hear from Digifinex and NAM yet, so I'll start to pose questions to the two speakers. So as for Digifinex, Digifinex is an up-and-coming exchange that's growing bigger by the day. So we haven't had a chance to hear from you guys about how you guys protect the security of users yet. So please share about that.
Okay. We are Digifinex. We are new, but we were not born yesterday. We are operating for since last year. We basically, as we can share in details in 10 aspects. So I'm going to give you a summary in 5 aspects which we are doing security as from exchange perspective. First, from internal. Not jobs get hacked is actually a problem from internal. So we do internal auditing for all our. By the time we design our website, our exchange, we follow Spence Audit Act to do auditing for all our websites. So whatever our programmer did in our website, we are able to trace it back. And we also have very strict regulations internally regarding of our staff to do trading. So we have to get them to declare all the accounts or the relatives accounts. So we have really detailed regulations to our staff. So we want to prevent any corruption or potential risk from internal. And also, like Bangkok, they get hacked because the key account is only held by one person. So for us, our key is held by multiple people. So we prevent the problem like Bangkok to happen. This is from internal. Then from technical part, it's basically more or less all like other exchanges. We have wallet separate, hot wallet, cold wallet, we have separate them. KYC, we do KYC, and for us, we just added something, we call it AI KYC. We do facial recognition of our users because we find out a lot of users, they might use Photoshop. So we developed this to do AI.
Change the mic. Exit. Yeah. Because you can't hear online. Yeah. Sorry.
Hot wallet and cold wallet separate. We do KYC. We detect what is the IP, what is the device you are logging in. If it's different, we are going to send you OTP. We are going to use QFA. So all those sort of things we use. Also, meanwhile, in the website side, we do have our server protection, our content protection. So all those are very technical part. So technical part, we do our due diligence. We cannot promise anything, but we do our best and hope for the best. Then the third aspect is from user aspect. A lot of the hacking happen is from user side. So for hackers, wherever the money is, the hacker's eye is always there. For us, we try to study our users' behavior. If user login from different IP, they suddenly withdraw. So we do study their behavior. If something is abnormal, according to our threshold, we are going to make it go through the manual approval process. So it's a little bit slow, but so far we have never had any problem happen. But we do have a little bit complaint from our users because they wondering this is me, but why I have to go through the manual approval again. So it's actually in internet. How do you prove you are you? This is back to the problem. So for us, we detect this. And then from scammer perspective, a lot of scammers, I think everybody in this space, more or less, you have been heard about scammers. So what we do is we always educate our users. Nobody gonna ask your private keys. Nobody gonna ask you to send money to us. Always get your source of information from a legit source. Always follow from official account. Don't do anything. If you have doubt, ask. And the last is educate the users. In the beginning, we didn't do much of marketing, but we do a lot of customer service. We do a lot of one-to-one customer service and guidance to our users. We try to educate them. A lot of problems, if the user, they forgot their keys, they don't know they need to back up their keys because they think, yeah, go to the bank, I prove I'm me, then I can get my money back. No, in crypto space, we need to educate our users. You have to back up your key. Then we also need to educate our users that don't do anything fishy on your website. Don't go to any website you're not supposed to go and get fished. So this is what we do from my perspective.
Okay, thank you for the detailed sharing about how Digifinex works and very helpful tips. Oh, and I see you're ready to speak. Oh, and so actually, yeah, we haven't heard from NAM yet, and NAM, as some of you may already know, it's very special because it uses proof of importance instead of like proof of work or proof of stake. So so I'd like to ask if that has any bearing on how secure it is, and also can you also give some advice about how users can store their NAM coin securely?
Actually, POI is just on consensus anyway. It's not really how you store the crypto. So anyway, just for the record, NAM blockchain was not hacked. It was the exchange got hacked. There's a very big difference. So that's the whole point of all these talks that we're actually having with these couple of days when it comes to security of crypto exchanges. What happened in CoinCheck was that they literally had all of their Zens, which is a cryptocurrency, on one hot wallet. Just think of how bizarre that is. I mean, if you're on an exchange, you've got $500 million worth of cryptocurrencies, you don't put it on a hot wallet. And Even more bizarre is that they only had one signatory on it. Now, even my wife has a second is my second signatory in my chat with my wife. So this is an exchange with $500 billion. So there's a lot of things that exchanges should be also more aware of when it comes to cryptocurrencies and also their wallet security. And it's also, I believe, the exchange's responsibility to actually maintain this security on behalf of the users on the exchange. So I don't remember what's the question again.
How do you advise users to store their name coin securely?
I suppose not just name coins, all other coins as well. So you make sure it's like one of the other analysts mentioned, store them on cold wallets. If you're not trading on it, store them on cold wallets. Your private key is going to be really secure. For myself, I clean it out, put it in the safe somewhere. I don't even keep it. So of course you're not going to find out where the safe is, but literally that's it. I mean, as long as you maintain your private key securely, chances are quite low, but chances are actually quite slim that you're actually going to get hacked. It's only when you maintain all your cryptos in hot wallets, where you constantly transact, where you constantly trade. For example, let's say if you're a network administrator, because I got another company that does IT services and so what we also do is we also do network support, we do network sniffing as well. So it's actually very easy to actually capture packets that contain some of your information, possibly to your passwords or possibly to your private keys, even if you actually send them across messaging systems which are not secure. So all this is, I mean, not necessarily people need to hack your computer, they just need to be listening to the networks. So let's say if you're trading, don't trade on public networks, don't trade on public Wi-Fi, especially let's say you go to Starbucks, public Wi-Fi, unsecure, no fun. It's not advisable. So use a VPN service. So that's another option that you can also use. So if you do trading, make sure you're secure. There's a lot of ways you can secure yourself. You can do it.
Thanks for the tips. Okay, now the next question will be open to everyone here, and I'm sure it's of interest to most of the audience as well. So in the very unfortunate event that investors' funds are lost, how can there be compensation? So we can have many different perspectives from our panel here, like perspectives from the exchanges or from the lawyers. Yeah, so how can there be compensation to investors?
Maybe that to exchanges or maybe
yeah, perhaps to give a little bit of an overview of what's available. And this is a bit of a kind of a green field for everyone, right? Because there's not really been a case that has gone that far to actually claim compensation thus far. So it really depends on how you want to structure your claim. So at least in the Singapore context, we mentioned that regulatory relief is quite limited. So the MAS coming in and stepping forward and saying, I'm going to take action against the relevant operator or the issuer, etc. is quite limited at this stage, depending on the scenario. So what you would have to do is look at civil action, so kind of bringing a claim in maybe a contract with your operator, with the exchange, based on your agreement. So many of you who are in this space will be familiar with this existing case that has been brought in the Singapore courts, the B2, C2 and cleaning case. Yes. Sorry, I'm not very familiar with the terminology here. Yeah. And again, this is arises out of a technical glitch as well. I mean, we keep talking about hacking and how glitches can affect parties' rights. So just to give you a bit of a brief overview of what this case was about, B2C2 was doing a series of trades using the platform provided by Coin. Yes. And there was a technical glitch on Coin's platform. And to be fair to Coin, it was actually trying to prevent any further cyber events or attacks. So it was actually doing an upgrading of its patch. But because these platforms understand open 24 hours a day, etc., there's no real downtime. So unfortunately, the glitch caught on, and the exchange rate between the Bitcoin and the Ethereum was adjusted wrongly. So it was 125 times more than the normal rate. So what happened was when Coin found out, the next day it reversed the transaction. But under the terms and conditions of the agreement between the exchange and the user, it's not allowed to reverse the transaction because once the transaction goes through, it's fixed. B2C2 then brought the action and said, well, it's your problem, Coin. I mean, you made a mistake, you have a problem with your computer system, a technical glitch, and I'm entitled to take advantage of that, so pay me that money back. So the case is now before the Singapore courts, and it'll be interesting to see how the courts determine the case, because to be fair, you've got a user who's maybe trying to take advantage to some extent, and you've got a platform which is also trying to protect itself and other users by upgrading patches. So it's a difficult one, and we'll wait to see, I guess, how things pan out. The other cause of action that you may have is in tort. So where there is no direct contractual claim, you're looking at something called tort, where you're looking at whether the exchange or any other party has a duty to look after your interest and whether they have breached that duty. So at this stage, you can tell, I look at some of your perplexed faces and you don't really, I guess, see where this is going. It's really difficult to establish a duty where you have lots of anonymous users and lots of people who don't really know which are the other intermediaries in question. So which is why most people try to go down the contract route. Again, it's very interesting to see how this will pan out. In Singapore so far, these issues haven't really gone to the courts yet. Whereas in Japan, after the contract incident, a number of cases have been filed. In US, is almost every other week we've got litigation going on regarding one or other operators. Increasingly, I think in relation to the big grail, which one of you mentioned as well, they decided not to go after the Italian operator, but went after the coin issuer instead, because for some reason perhaps they felt the Italian operator may not be able to kind of make good the claim. So you can see it's very wide open. There are lots of possible causes of action, and it really depends on how the first test case will be heard.
So we see that MES is actually quite, I think, could be concerned and looking into that area, because in the payment services bill, we see them trying to introduce some form of security for intermediaries. So of course, that threshold, all that is still not fixed yet, and they could be based on certain degree of threshold using the revenue of that exchange. But the details of that are not out, but I do believe that that's something that they're looking at just to make sure there's financial recourse to secure the investments of the investors.
First, I want to share the principle of the Huobi exchange, and then I want to share a case I did before. In principle, if the case is caused by the user itself, we will not pay it. But if it's caused by ourselves, because our reason to let our user to use their assets, it must be paid to the user. It is without any questions. And because I used to work in China, and I have 2 WeChat accounts, and all of them are 5,000 friends, and most of them are my users. And every day they ask me something, and call me in the midnight or in the early morning, and asking me to do something for them. And some of the cases is that their BTC or other blockchain asset was stolen by someone, and according to the network of blockchain, because blockchain is transparent, so they exchanges, they follow the transaction, and they find it one of them. The stolen Bitcoin go to things like an exchange. So they usually ask me if you can check this address belongs to your platform. Then in this situation, I usually tell them, okay, you can call the police. Yeah, it's true. First, go to the police and tell them to record this case and ask them to send us inventory distribution hub, and then we will help the police to examine if the address is belongs to Huobi, and according to the police's order, we will frozen the account. But we have no right to frozen one account without any order or any document. So And another thing is my user often question me, is it true, is this really the police will help me, because they think blockchain asset is not my priority. And I tell them it's true. And blockchain asset is also asset. You can protect it, and we have many real cases now. You can tell police and bring the case, the government and the court sent in online. So it's very helpful. And then call the police and ask them to send us documents, and then we will help with you to find out which person is doing your coin.
Just a quick note. So instead of we seeking help from police, from exchange, try to get your loss back. First, do your due diligence, educate yourself, learn how to protect your asset, and take the key in your hand. I have friends that they don't know how to use it. They send their private key, they send their password, they send everything to me. How money is your money? It's not my money, right? So protect your money. Don't be the weak chain in the blockchain. We have so many aspects will be get hacked. The exchange could be get hacked. The user could be get hacked, and the project could be hacked. And look into all those. Who is the weak chain in this blockchain? Is the user itself. So educate yourself, because in this space is a wild west. Regulators, they don't know how to regulate. They're still studying. Lawyers, they also follow regulators. So they try to protect you, but no guarantee, because nobody knows. Pretty new to everybody. So instead of trying to fix the problem, try to get your loss back. Try to protect yourself first. Try to educate yourself before you invest. Okay.
So my perspective is a little different from the other speakers just now, because we do decentralized exchange. So what does it mean is decentralized exchange doesn't have KYC, so we don't know who you are. If you are on exchange, you can just buy and sell. And our decentralized exchange is peer-to-peer as well. The order book, we have order book matching bot, which matches the orders in us. But that one you can consider that as a trader, as another trader will trade with you. But otherwise, we don't know who you are. And if you lost your secret key, you just lost other cryptocurrencies. It's unlike Huobi. If you lost your Huobi password, probably you can get your Bitcoin back, right? Like you can reset the password, right?
The verification process is not.
Yeah, I think the idea is there's no verification mechanism to restore your secret keys for decentralized exchange. Yeah, so if you lose your secret key, you can never get it. Yeah, I think that's one of the main reasons why the decentralized exchanges have not reached the general public yet. Yeah, there's still some technical or user experience problem that is hard to fix.
Oh, and just now I was read something very interesting about going to the police. So yeah, so like if you're an investor and your funds are lost, like you have been like buying something to exchange and like you're hacked, and so is going to the police really effective, or can hackers be held accountable to the law? Yeah, so and does anyone want to answer this? And you think that you
Okay, just going back to the discussion on the police. I was listening quite curiously to that entire discussion. Yes, you are right. Going to the police helps to some extent. It can investigate, can find out who's in the wrong, and then, if necessary, the people will be charged. but you still will not get your monies back because in a sense the police or the prosecutors are not there to get your money back for you. So you will still have to, after that charge, after that whole process is gone through, then commence a claim in contract or claim in tort or some other claim yourself, personally, paying monies, etc. in court to actually enforce your rights. So yes, going to the police helps to some limited extent in the sense that you can get investigation and get justice. The person will maybe, depending on whether the extent of the fraud, etc., go behind bars, but it doesn't get you your money back. You still need to go out there and take action. And therefore, I really agree with your view that if you can, as far as possible, try to protect yourself. But coming back to the issue of hackers, right? Yes, hacking is obviously illegal and it's not allowed. There are lots of penalties for that, especially under the new Cybersecurity Act that has just come out this year, very enhanced penalties. But the issue you face with hackers is really accountability and tracing. These hackers are very sophisticated, and by the time you trace down where they sit and where they are, even once you do that, they may well be in any part of the world, right? And then just assume there's a hacking incident in Singapore. You will have the Singapore authorities, the Singapore government, looking into the treaty arrangements to see whether the person out there can be extradited back to Singapore. You guys remember the Standard Chartered incident. There was a robbery down Holland Village, if I'm not wrong. And there was a long, really very, very long process about trying to get the guy back, whether he can be extradited, etc. So the US has done a lot of these arrangements, actually trying to get folks out in many jurisdictions for hacking incidents, etc. Especially people who go after the Department of Justice and the state websites. But even they, with the power that they have in terms of soft power and pressure, etc., find it difficult because with some jurisdictions, the courts actually intervene and say that it's not in the interest of justice, etc. So the most recent one, I think, for those of you who have been following, quite recently, just a month ago, this guy who hacked, I believe, the US Department of Justice page. He's been, the UK government fought quite hard for it, and the UK courts have said that he's not going to be extradited to the US. I think his name is Laurie Love or something. Yeah, so for those of you who are familiar with that incident. So then if you're going to rely on trying to get the hacker and get him accountable, yes, maybe that can happen at some point. But firstly, as I mentioned, there are many challenges, and getting your money back from the hacker is almost a no-no.
Even the chance of the hacker dissipating his funds, given the speed at which we can do these transactions, for multiple wallets that we can just dissipate it to, in transactions where could be to an innocent third party who's doing a transaction with, and you even have to get that money back from that innocent party. Obviously, courts have to decide whether or not, hey, this guy didn't know about that. Those funds really, funds that were from the hacking incident. So that's going to be really difficult, not to mention as all the cross-jurisdictional issues. So again, we agree, you have to take personal steps. I like how catchy that the phrase is, you are the weakest link in the block, or weakest chain in the blockchain, right? So that is really, really, really the case.
I think for this question, you can hear some very interesting perspectives from Gaven, who is a very prolific investor from BlockOrigin. So he can talk about this from an investor's perspective. So as an investor, how do you protect and assert your legal rights, and what are your security concerns when you're investing? So I'll translate it into Chinese for Gaven. So like 作为一个投资人，在这种数字货币被盗的事件当中，你会如何保护还有维护自身的合法利益？然后呢，你是如何考虑一个项目的安全风险问题的？所以你就可以跟我们分享一下，就是你投资东西时是怎么考虑，怎样才是安全的，还有保护自己的利益。
首先第一个的话就是我们在保护自己财产这个地方的话，可能因为我们可能就是说，我们把不常用的这种资金的话，我们会把它储存在那个硬件钱包当中，就是不常用的这种资金，我们不会放到交易所里面，就是放在冷钱包当中，所以这个地方就基本上完全隔断了就是被盗的这种风险。当然，我们还是有很大量的资产的话，还是储存在交易所当中。那这一部分的话怎么说呢？所以我们会选择一些大的交易所， 我们不会去一些非常，不是说不会去吧，就是说我们很少会去一些小交易所做一些交易。这个里面就涉及到我之前刚刚说过的，就是那种631的那种，就是631的那种资产的那个配备方式当中的，我们的6跟3基本上都是在大交易所里面，只有那个剩下的那个10%的那个资产，我们会去小交易所啊或者其他交易所里面做一些高频交易。所以，然后剩下的部分其实安全性的话，我们考虑得到不是特别多，因为我觉得这个东西交易所他们会考虑得到，因为出了问题一般都会找他们的。而且我们还有一个就是说，我们还有一些习惯，这些日常的习惯的话，我觉得大家就是说，如果你自己投入在就是加密币的资金比较多的话，我们建议就是说，你还是用专用的电脑，然后这台电脑就只用来做你的加密币操作、加密币交易，不会用它去查阅资料啊、上其他各类网站。我们电脑的话，就只会做一些就是各个交易所的一些交易，其他的行为都不会去做。这是平时的一些小的习惯。然后我觉得我这边能分享的一些的话，就是一些投资建议。我不是卖币的，所以我不会说具体说投资哪几种代币的话，对于大家来说比较好。我只是这么说吧，就是说，加密币市场当中有非常多的代币，几百种、上千种，我没有具体去统计过，但是肯定非常多。但是对于投资者来说的话，不管是投资者还是投资者机构来说的话，他们的精力都是有限的，所以他们只会去研究，就怎么说呢？他们只会去研究少数的，或者说有限范围内的几种代币。这几种代币他们研究错了之后，他们就只玩这几种代币，或者他只买卖这几种代币。其他每当一个用户或者每当我们要新的去投资一个代币的时候，我们都会提前做很多功课，观察它的曲线图，甚至是研究它的，就是我之前也有说过的，就是说研究它的一些关系链。它背后的一些资金方，它的庄家有没有实力？对，这个也是很重要的一点。然后来根据这个东西来控制我们对于这个代币的一个投资量。比如说一个很简单的东西，他们资金方一共也就是个1万、2万个 ETH。那么你投入的这个资金如果超过1000，那就是风险非常大。就是说根据它的买盘的深度、卖盘的深度、长期的曲线图、庄家的实力、站台方背景和交易所的关系，这个影响的因素特别多。这个都需要去学习和关注。这边我也不大方便分享太多，虽然已经分享了很多了，但是基本上就是这些。然后长线的投资的话，就是还是要看一些品牌的。我们还是比较推崇平台币的，就是我们还是比较推崇平台币的，因为怎么说呢？作为区块链项目的话，长期不能落地这个问题，其实是一个普遍存在的一个现象。但是交易所是交易所的平台币是区块链当中的一个另类，因为交易所它是有一个持续的造血能力的。交易所的盈利，所以其实或者交易所的生存状况，就关联到了它平台币的价值，或者说未来的升值空间。所以当你对于不能分析的太多了，有推广的嫌疑，所以就是说我们还是比较推崇一些有实体落地经济价值的一些代币，然后。另外一些代币的话，可能就是说更多的还是看我之前说的那些因素，还有一个就是控制自己的投入的仓位。好，就这样。
So I think I'll just like briefly summarize and say what Gaven has shared. So like he said that what BlockOrigin does is to like go to big exchanges. Like they use the 631 rule for investing, and as for the 6 and the 3 they go for big exchanges, and for the 1 they would like go to small exchanges. So that's really interesting. So thanks for that, Terry. And now I'd like to pose the final question for the panel before you guys, the audience, gets to ask your own burning questions. So like the last question is, so if a user or investor has a problem with an exchange, what kind of recourse can they see? So anyone can answer this. How to answer it?
Actually, if you ask me, there's no recourse. If you ask me, you need to prevent yourself from getting hacked in the first place. So education is very important. You need to understand what are the implications if, let's say, something really happens. Let's face it, you lose your crypto through your own mistakes. Usually it's not the exchange. Most people lose their money because of their own mistakes. People really passwords, they expose their liabilities. So a lot of it is about education. So prevention is better than cure. That's my.
I think we spoke a bit about just now about the legal recourse that you might have in terms of contract, related contract you have as a user with the exchange, as well as the cautious claims and others, the private sort of action that you can take for the losses that you might have that you can establish against you. I think just now, I think looking a bit forward, I think you also mentioned that potentially the US might be looking at security in terms of payments that the exchange have to make a deposit in order to ensure that investors have some funds to look through. And of course, on our end, I think, and this is personal views, right? And I think that maybe exchanges might want to consider if you might want to look into possible underwriting, insurance companies that might be able to help you to look into a kind of to limit the damage compensation that you might have for this kind of issues. Though I'm not too sure if there's any professional outfit there, insurance outfit there that might be looking into this at this point in time. But I think they are well done. And I think definitely it's something to worth exploring to learn. I'm actually quite surprised, and of course glad and surprised that Bitfinex can still survive after so many hacking incidents. And I think the way forward is really to make sure that we have that all this protection as well for the security to ensure that investors get recourse as well.
We already discussed we have to educate ourselves, also maybe seeking more justice if there is any regulation coming up later on from regulators. And the other part of what we can do as a users is try to do diligence research about whichever cryptocurrency exchange we are going to use, study the team behind the exchange, and study what are the projects are they listing. So you have to get to know what they are doing. Are they the team really want to do a long-term business, or they just want to make some money today and tomorrow just go? You cannot find them. So just try to study no matter you choosing a cryptocurrency exchange or you just want to invest in a project or invest in an ICO, you will check do they have a legit project? Do they have a user case? What is the team behind that? Who is the investors? Are they reputable? Do they have a good record? So just do those type of research. There are more than, on CoinMarketCap, there are till now like more than 1,300, 1,400 tokens there. And still have not yet listed in CoinMarketCap. And for the exchanges, almost every week, right now probably getting crazy, almost every day got the cryptocurrency exchange coming out. There is no regulations. So law cannot protect you from them. So you have to study which exchange you want to invest or you want to use their service. A lot of the exchange, they are not legit. They give you, they pick a really fancy future for you, and they give you really good returns, promising you a lot of things, but later on they just want your Bitcoin, want your Ether. So do research about even the platform you're going to use.
I want all of the phrase share is very good, and I want to share some real case. And if the thing really happened and you lose your asset, the first thing if you want to ask the favor of the exchange such as Huobi, it is www.huobi.com, and it is the front page, and at the bottom of the front page, it is a button named Help. Yeah, yes, and click it, and there is a live chat of our customer service. And it is 24 hours and times 7 days, and no rest. Then ask them for help. This is the first method. And the second method is you can send an email to 123@huobi.com. This email, if you have any problems, we will conduct it. And if you're not really still not satisfied with the speed of our conduct something, you just post your Twitter, social media, even your WeChat, and ask our founder Leonie, and ask him, you need to conduct my asset, and he will arrange it quickly. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And the fourth method is you can add my WeChat. And if you have some problem, and I will need someone to solve the problems for you. And I want to share two cases which the most frequently occurred. One is GA. Most important things we said 3 times, right? And if you register an account, so link to GA, and where it will protect your asset mostly. And another thing for our customer usually come to me is the problem is they usually think the deposit address is their withdrawal address is their deposit address. In exchange, in a decentralized, it's a centralized exchange is totally different, because if you have a wallet, you have one address or some address. You send to others, and others send to all. It's your address, and I send to. But in exchange, it's not. You have your own deposit address, right? When you withdraw to others, don't let others think this is your deposit address. We have so many cases for this, and many customers deposit one A point to B point's address. It happens a lot. So then I have to tell them, okay, you need to wait, because when you conduct this kind of cases, maybe monthly or 1.5 months, you need to wait. It is another kind of loss. So I want to accept your account stolen by others, or you lose your assets. These 2 cases I want to share, and you use some misunderstanding. Okay, thank you.
I still have something to say. But again, the question is if there's a dispute between exchange and users. Again, this question is not relevant to us, because we are wallet to wallet, peer to peer exchange. So we are really just becoming the order book in the middle to provide liquidity to the traders. So I've never seen any dispute on our exchange. Yeah. The only dispute, the only question that we constantly receive is they lost their secret keys, which we couldn't help. So, but what I actually want to say is we are working with local developers and local teams who are happy to do the apps on Stellar Network. If you do a custody account, like wallet for Stellar, that provide better customer experience for Stellar wallet. It can be used for trading, small payments, or international payments. That would be very good. We also have developer incentives if you are able to do a very good app for us. So feel free to talk to me if you are a developer.
作为投资者而言的话，其实在跟交易所之间有矛盾的过程当中，其实属于弱势群体。所以我们的策略是尽量不要 尽量避免去产生这样的问题。所以我觉得还是养成一些好习惯吧。我给大家分享几个就是平时的一些习惯吧。就我们刚刚之前有说过的，第一个就是一个电脑的专用性，这是第一个。第二个的话就是永远不要手写地址，永远不要手写地址，所有的地址，无论是12410的比特币地址，全部都是用 copy。Thank you。永远不要手写地址，所有的东西都是复制粘贴，因为区块链不可逆嘛，这个大家都知道，所以我们基本上不会出现就是说因为资产问题而产生跟交易所之间这种矛盾。我觉得如果大家遇到这种问题，其实已经是很不幸了。就这样。
Thanks, Gaven. So basically, Gaven said that when investors, when they have disputes with exchanges, they are often at a disadvantage. So he says like all of us should just like cultivate really good habits, and he shared one of them, which is to never ever handwrite your addresses, just like copy and paste it somewhere, just don't write it on piece of paper. Yeah. So my segment for the panel discussion ends here. So if you guys have any questions for all our speakers here, you can feel free to raise your hand. There you have one.
Yeah, I have a question for the lawyers. Do I need a mic? Hi. Yeah, so a lot of the focus on the law has been on whether the token is a security or not. But you mentioned that dampens is exploring the tax side. So can you elaborate on what the current position is tax-wise for companies looking at ICO? And if there's no clear regulation, which is kind of my understanding now, why is there no clear regulation? What do you think impedes people from actually discussing what are the main considerations and how would the tax problem be solved moving forward?
Okay, so as a securities lawyer, I'm trying my best to answer that question. Well, basically, for any fundraising of an SNIPO, for securities, obviously we have no capital gains tax, and therefore there is no tax. But if you're selling cryptocurrency now, what is that? It is not securities, what is it? Probably either goods or services. And in that case, of course, then you would have to face, assuming that you sell it and you obviously cross a million threshold for GST registration, then you probably have to pay GST, assuming that the funds raised originate primarily from Singapore, or at least on GST on the Singapore originated funds. And also you probably have to account for it as corporate tax, these profits, and not as part of your capital. So that's, I think, predominantly the two taxes you have to keep in mind. Other than that, I think IRAS has released a privacy say at least for Bitcoin and Ethereum, they look at it as services. Whether we agree with it or not is another matter, but that's how they view it. I think amongst the big four accountancy firms as well as the second-tier accountancy firms as well, I think there's no consistent position how you classify or book your tokens into the books, whether it's even capable of doing that. Obviously, I think personally it's based on the token functions and characteristics before you can determine how it can be booked. Whether it's financial assets, whether it's, inventory, whether it's prepaid services, prepaid revenue from prepaid services. So really that depends case to case. And that's the whole point of my tax colleagues coming in. And we will try to see how we can help you to structure during the ICO, how we can see the mitigate the tax liabilities.
Short follow-up. So if people participate in your ICO and they pay in, like let's say, Bitcoin and Ethereum, and if you say we apply GST, do we apply at the point of purchase the fiat value of the Ethereum, or when the company decides to convert it to fiat?
There's no consistent position, but if you ask me, personally, I think you ought to pay the game and should convert it.
But then you should convert it to
fiat. So that's the value you realize in fiat. That's my own view. I think different firms will take different positions on this in terms of accountancy firms.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for a very interesting discussion. Okay, I have some questions for the lawyers. First, let me touch upon the subject of secret key, private key. There are two things I'd like to mention here. One is that it's not correct to say that if you lose your private key, you can't recover it, because like MetaMask and a lot of other people, and there are ways to recover it by yourself, not by the exchange, nor any other person other than self. Make this very clear. Okay. The other thing is, if you lose your login password, never ever recover it. You must not. It's against cybersecurity practices. Never do it. Even if it's not blockchain or anything. So I'm speaking from cybersecurity perspective. Okay, so that aside. For the lawyers, yeah, this is very interesting. So, how do you scrutinize the terms and conditions of the various exchanges, ICO, etc.? Because they vary from one end of the spectrum to the other, and there's no consistency. Don't spell out all the details. I have read through a lot of this, so I'm not a lawyer, but I think I've seen enough to make this comment. From the seller side, from the buyer side, from the exchange side, the trouble with a lot of these things is that two things. One, like in the event of a hacking, for example, in the case of smart contract, the whole thing itself is not secure. So the DAO hack case, the very famous case 101, they caught the hacker, and what did the hacker tell the prosecutor? Your program led me there, so he got off scot-free. Of course, you asked me to go to that link, of course I will do that. Or if a pay ad on Google or Facebook, and they try to ban now, but it didn't happen, all of it, okay? So I go somewhere and do something. There are a lot of very strange practices. Maybe you want to take a look. So this kind of thing, how does the law do it? Okay, so the DAO 101 has been around quite a few years ago. This thing moves in a very fast pace and things changes by the minute. So that's one. So, and how, okay, the general public is supposed to trust or believe in the law. But what happens if the law is incorrect? Pardon me from saying this, okay? So then there's this issue of OTP, that all banks or all Visa card issuer supposed to comply to this thing called OTP and issue a one-time password, blah, blah, blah. But to the people in the cybersecurity, you just go and check with them. How secure is OTP? It's a joke. One book you can finish. And the point is, the law never updates itself. So people are consumers, suffers. And so what I want to find out is that how do you deal with this case, And in the space of blockchain, you cannot say blockchain is immutable, it can't fight. I can tell you, I can look for money laundering in blockchain itself. There's a way to do this, okay? So, how does law cope with all these things? It's very, very complex. So, may I hear your view? Thank you.
So let me try to distill the various questions. I think the first question is how do you need to analyze the exchange contracts, right? I think the first thing you have to do is to read it. Many of us don't read the contracts, right? Especially those online and maybe saying like Apple or iPhone and this iTunes and just scroll down. Yes, I don't read it myself, so I don't read it too. But I think first you have to read it. I think there's no consistency obviously because there's no, and this brings us to the next question, which is regulations, right? Then it is not really regulated at this point in time. So there wouldn't be consistency in what is required of you to put into these contracts with the users. The laws will eventually come in, would I presume will be and obviously with regulated by the areas. Yeah, but at this stage obviously then it's really buyer beware. You need to be responsible and consistent amounts. All the speakers, you have to be responsible for your own actions. You have to analyze contracts. Hey, this, and my guess is at this point probably it could be skewed more towards the exchanges rather than the user. I wouldn't be surprised if even the banking contracts right now we sign it probably are more skewed towards the users here. So I think the regulations will come eventually. At this point in time, it's unregulated. We will expect some consistency. As and when that happens, you may see more consistency, more investor protection. At the same time, I think there is, and the attitude I think my take on the regulators actually is this blockchain ICOs. It's, you don't know if it's that approaching cautiously because you don't know if it's not a big thing. You try and be a thing type. It's very natural that blockchain comes along and the rest of it. So how do you balance what is going to make potentially simple or good hard for that versus regulations and over-regulating such that it can discourage people from that. I mentioned we've had Japan regulate, but the regulations could attract development and cause delays and things that might therefore this business and development can go there. Not that clients in Japan is coming to us because it is that difficult to get in under these regulations there. So it is a sweet spot in Asia. I think that yes, it's probably not going the way yet of the SEC versus the US. But I think it has to be, it probably is going to be a bit of a price with everything and all the rest of the jurisdictions and how to determine what is a sensible, rational, long-term solution and policy for such regulations as well. So I think that's my take.
Most of you, all of you are Singaporeans, I presume. All Singaporeans. What I feel is important right now again is education. Right? Educate your member of parliament. As crazy as that sounds, they are the ones who actually come up with the laws that these guys have to follow. This guy will argue the case based on the law that was actually passed in Parliament. So educate your member of Parliament because that is what the NAM Foundation is actually trying to do as well. So the foundation is actually again we are non-profit. What we do is we are here to educate people and also governments as to tell them that blockchain is not evil, it's not here to suck your money. So basically we want to educate the governments also as to how they can properly regulate some of the aspects when it comes to blockchain. Not necessarily blockchain, but applications of blockchain, let's say the fintech space, in the crowdfunding space. So again,
briefly address your point on the OTP and the other regimes that banks or other entities use. So the standard that applies in what we call evolving environment, right, where tech is involved because it's constantly changing every day. So what the courts and the regulators are looking at is, have you taken everything that a prudent party in that position would take? Have you put in place the controls, the mechanisms, the systems that can prevent such an attack? Because, as everyone here shared, no one can say that an organization is 100% free from attack. The attack will never happen. But what do you have in place by way of, either audit mechanisms, risk assessment, etc. And can that stand withstand scrutiny? So if you're at that level, maybe 80-85%, the remaining 50%, 15%, somehow a hacker gets in, then you will be able to put in place quite a good defense to the regulator or to the courts to say that, look at me, I've done all that's required. In fact, I've even taken all these additional steps. So, this was really unexpected. It happened, you can't do anything. Whereas if in the first place, you hardly have anything by way of precautions, you don't really do any risk assessment, you don't do any mitigation, you don't have funds there to compensate investors, then it's very clear that your mind is not addressing the risk issues, and therefore these will trigger red flags. In fact, in all the hacking cases, you would see that Japan has gone after a number of the exchanges, and when they go in, they realize that the exchanges really have very limited mechanisms out there. Someone mentioned clueless management earlier. So that's the case that the exchange may be really big and have 500 billion or whatever it may be under management. But unfortunately, because of the way that the system is being managed and the processes and the controls in place, it really is very vulnerable to attack. So you're looking at putting in place, I think, not a 100% system that will never be defeated, but a system that is reasonable, that's prudent, that you've done everything that you should in those circumstances. So that's really the standard. If you ask me what that is, it's quite hard to define, but which is why you actually do risk audits quite often. You need to have good paper trail in place, and you get lawyers like us involved at an early stage, even before an incident happens. So you can say that this plan of action has been properly proved, vetted, etc. You've got independent parties coming in. So if an attack ever happens, look at my paper record, right? I'm good. So that's how you kind of protect yourself.
Oh no, I was just about to say that if, I think as and when you might be surprised to find where you are getting required to changes as well. In terms of maybe the patches, updation systems and things like that, make sure you're robust enough. Definitely security will be quite a concern that we have in mind. I think that the laws wouldn't be prescriptive. Usually it's meant to state principles, and then of course in practice you have all these professionals coming to decide therefore how practically the law is reasonable.
So businesses, for that long, will bet on the wrong horse. It's really that, because a lot of these coins are really that. It's just a gamble, most of them. So, sorry.
Actually, after the panel discussion part, if you still have some questions, you can go to one of our speakers one by one for networking. So don't worry. Okay, not really a question, but I wanted to bring to attention that you're bringing up Japan's regulations as a standard. I don't know if you know, because I'm based in Thailand, and Thailand isn't quite known as the gold standard of regulations. However, we have our own ICO portal exchange regulations that have come down by the Royal Gazette, and they will be in effect on July 16th. Now, whether we view them as good or bad, we all know regulations are coming. However, to address your question, now every ICO has to go through a registered, licensed ICO portal. So they need to be vetted before they even are released to the public. So they go through the ICO portal, and then all exchanges also must be registered with the government. And every ICO portal now is actually registered as a financial institution. So AMLO and KYC obviously apply. ICO also AMLO, KYC apply. Exchanges also, so we've got triplicate KYC and AMLO. But you're going to be able to bring complaints against ICO portals because they are registered as a financial institution. So you might want to look at those regulations. I'm not saying they're the gold standard at all, because not everyone is very happy with them because it's a bit too onerous. However, they will be constantly and continuously evolving, and we're hopefully working with the government on that. But there's a lot there if you want to unroll it. So just might want to take a look at those.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question about the banking support in Singapore for the fintech companies. I think we may be facing some difficulty in working with the bank, and sometimes the bank can close our accounts without any reasons. So how should we position ourselves when we come to talk to the bank and ask the bank to allow us to have a account with them, and as well as to get their Singapore dollars banking API to plug into our fintech payment app, for example.
Well, I'm just saying it's, it's possible to see the same. So, well, let me clarify first, it's not a good question. This is actually about the banks and their policies on the bank accounts. And I think, as I mentioned before, it's the concerns of KYC and AML. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we haven't seen how cryptocurrencies would be, could be a potential risk of a way in which money not only laundered or used to finance terrorism. So that's the concern because of how non-visible thing is. So that aside, of course, if you're just a fintech company and if you don't have any cryptocurrency connection and you don't need that crypto, for instance, then how would you use it right if you have issues with bank account? Then it has to be other issues. Because banks, when they look at banks, when they look at the due diligence into the account holder, people and it can be very hard, of course, things like creditworthiness, whether you're a politically exposed person, and things like that. So that can be for a variety of reasons. And if you're a fintech with no crypto background, then I think it must be other reasons.
Any more questions? Any more questions? Oh, are we done for the night? Yes, okay. So now I also have time afterwards. Like, if you have more questions, you have to try to ask. Just like approach this videos and you really.
Can I ask one more question regarding about the tech guy?
Yes. I'm very interested in Stella's, Michael, so I know that you guys have a decentralized platform. So what do you mean the advantage and disadvantage between the decentralized and centralized exchange? And what is exact meaning of decentralized exchange? Because decentralized meaning we don't own that system, right? So what about the server? The server has to be distributed and it has to be decentralized as well, right? So I really want to learn more about that.
I'm going to do a very brief one right now, but you can chat later. So decentralized exchange basically you control your own wallet. So the trading is from wallet to wallet. So how about the price? What price do you pay for changing Ethereum to Bitcoin, right? So the price negotiation can happen online, on blockchain, or offline. If everything is happening on a centralized server and your coin is stored in a centralized server, that becomes like Digifinex, a decentralized exchange. If the price negotiation happens on blockchain, that means your order book is on the blockchain. Some solutions facilitate that. Like Stella have a on-blockchain order book, which anyone can see, anyone can place a bet and take a bet, right? So that's an on-blockchain order book. Huobi doesn't, I think Huobi doesn't have order books public, but we do. So that's the difference between decentralized and centralized order books. So that's the price negotiation part, and also the liquidity part. The biggest difference I think right now is liquidity. Huobi, I'm not sure what's the trading volume like. I think every day. $700 million on Huobi trading every day. On decentralized exchange, the best you can get is maybe 20 or 30. So liquidity is a big part for exchange because if more people use it, the network effect becomes more valuable, right? So a lot of times when we don't have liquidity on Stellar decentralized exchange, we have to market it for ourselves, and we have to take the counterparty risk. Yeah. So that's some of the difference I can list right now. Feel free to talk to me after the session.
And what about the server? I'm talking about the server because the
decentralized meaning you have to decentralize everything, right?
Yeah.
And here is the server is a centralized server, so that means it's not decentralized.
The order book of Stellar is on the blockchain, so it is on each of the nodes. Yeah, it is decentralized, and the trade is initiated from the wallet, and then the people who actually accept the bid is also from another wallet. So yeah, it's a truly decentralized peer-to-peer trading platform.
So all the data is kept in the.
So all the data. So do you mean that all the data are going to be kept in the nodes of the blockchain itself?
Yes, it's public, yeah.
And it's public. Okay. And everything is there. Everything is full node. Because if it's full node, then it's going to be very heavy, right? And every time you take out the data from the node, it's going to take time. And how are we going to do a real transaction?
We have about more than 100 full nodes running right now. But there's also watcher nodes which doesn't, there's archiver nodes, watcher nodes which doesn't do the consensus process. So you can, there are 4 different types of nodes. There's 2 nodes. There are nodes that doesn't do consensus but watch the entire history. There's nodes that only watch the recent histories, and there's nodes that only do validations and consensus. So it depends on the use case. I did a full node myself on my own laptop. It takes about 2 or 3 hours. We don't use POS, POW, or POS. We don't use any of that. We use a different kind of mechanism for consensus. It's called SCP, yeah. I can do a link. I read some blogs and some link. Yeah, you're interested.
Yeah, so now we're done for the night, and so now you guys can go speak to the individual speakers if you guys do have more burning questions, or if you just like let them off and let us all yeah. Yeah, so thanks so much for being here, and thanks so much for sharing very, very interesting perspectives and questions. And when BlockOrigin is the next meetup, we hope to see you guys again. Thank you for coming. And another gentle reminder, you can sign up with Huobi by the invitation code, and you will get free airdrop. And also feel free to ask questions to one of our speakers.